What up? I'm Bea, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things true crime and current events. If you are in here, say hi. I'm super excited to hang out with you and talk about all the stuff that has been going on in the world of YouTube this week. Give people a few minutes to get in, say hi, say what's up, get caught up on everything. Alright, hope you are having a good week so far. There are a few things before we get into the actual drama that I do want to talk about, but Brianna's here. Hi, how are ya? Again, if you're in here, Winnie Jones says hello. Hi, Winnie. Yep, say hi, say what is up if you are in here. And like I said, as always, we'll give people just a few minutes to get in, get caught up, get everybody situated before we get into it. Oh, Cassandra Elizabeth Vaughn. Hello, how are ya? All right, cool. So everything is looking good. Okay, perfect. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted a story 15 minutes ago. I ended up getting off work early because my boss was like, it's annoying. It's not annoying. It's a whole complicated thing. But she was like, you know what, you can just leave. And I was like, okay, even though we're working from home. So I was like, cool, thanks. So I stopped working early. But there are a few things I wanted to just have a little chat about before we get into all the drama. And the first one is... I feel like most people who watch my channel know this, but I just want to give kind of, a reminder or a general announcement as to the intent, I guess, of a lot of my videos. I do a lot of reaction videos. I do a lot of drama videos, stuff like that. And so a lot of times we're talking about things that people have not necessarily done wrong, but that people are upset about or that we disagree with and all that. And I just want to kind of issue the reminder that the intent of doing that is not to drag people, not to tear anybody down. It's not to spread hate or talk poorly about anybody. It's literally just to take a look at things that are going on or that we disagree with and have kind of a reasonable discussion about them. So just wanted to put that out there, and just as a reminder, if you're DMing me or personal messaging me and you want to talk about something going on, totally cool, but if you come into the DMs trying to talk crap about somebody, you're probably not going to get the reaction from me that you want. So just wanted to put a general disclaimer out there. We're critical of people, we look at people, things that they've done wrong, but the intent is never to be mean. And so I just want to kind of put that as a reminder. Brianna said, happy that I got to catch the live since I missed the last two. Well, I am happy you are in here. So that was just kind of a general disclaimer I wanted to put out there. Secondly, I wanted to, this is something that I don't want to make a full video about, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit because, oh, hi Natasha. On Tuesday, I did a video about Paul and Morgan, and, oh wait, was it Tuesday? Yeah. Oh, hi Tinley. Hi Avalon. It's not about anybody, Avalon, in particular. It's just, something that I have experienced, in comments and in DMs and stuff like that, just people wanting to come to me and commiserate and kind of talking crap about people. And if we have something that you disagree with something somebody did or you want to talk about it, obviously that's basically what we do here, so I'm totally cool with that. But there have been some people just, I don't know, engaging in kind of a more negative energy than I would like. And so it's not about anybody in particular. It's just kind of a general disclaimer for maybe people who are newer here or don't really understand that the intent in talking about these things isn't to tear people down. It's just to chat about what's going on and have a reasonable conversation about things and talk about oh, they could have done this differently, or the audience would like to see this. This is how you can make it right. Like stuff like that. So nothing in particular, just a general disclaimer. All right. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Baby Bunny. Hi. So then back to Paul and Morgan. On Tuesday, I posted a video reacting to one of their videos. And then earlier this week, Morgan actually posted a video talking about, like, I've been having a hard time. Here's why. And as much as we do talk about things that people have done wrong or are, like, under fire for, I also want to make sure that we are calling people out when they do good things. Maybe not calling them out, but, like, recognizing them or, like, giving credit where credit is due. Morgan posted this video talking about how she's just been having a really, really rough time with the pandemic, with staying home, with not having her routine. She has mental health problems, and they made a video about her getting off of her medication. I think it's like, I don't know what her diagnosis is, but it's related to, like, depression, anxiety, stuff like that. And so she literally just openly talked about how she was having a really tough time and how she didn't want to tell anybody, but she came to a point where she realized, like, there's nothing wrong with me if I'm feeling anxious or depressed. It doesn't say anything about who I am as a person, and it helps to talk about it. And so she talked about how she went to her husband Paul about it, and how they went to their pastor, and how she contacted her psychiatrist and all that. And she's like, I'm checking in with my psychiatrist. I don't want to be on medication, which we've talked about this before. If you don't want to be on medication for stuff, as long as you're, like, doing it responsibly and, like, handling stuff with a doctor, whether it's physical, mental stuff that you don't want to be on medication for, as long as you're doing it responsibly, totally great. So I love that she talked to her psychiatrist, she talked to her husband, and she said, like, this, like, being depressed right now or being anxious right now is nothing wrong with me, and if you're feeling that way, it's nothing wrong with you. And so as much as there are things that they say that I don't agree with and things that I don't like, I do just want to kind of say, like, that was really cool of her, because it can't be easy to talk about that, like, especially when you are someone who has made kind of a big deal about how you don't like medication for mental illness, and how, you think that you can treat things a bit more naturally. And again, nothing wrong with treating things naturally, but the fact that they are kind of known for being anti-medication, and that's something a lot of people attack them for, it could not have been easy. So I just, like I said, I want to give her props. Tinley said, about what you said earlier, so in other words, there's a difference between constructive criticism and gossip. Basically, condensing it down into a sentence, it's that. It's what Tinley said. The whole thing is, like, we're talking about people, obviously, like, we're talking about YouTube drama, but it's never with evil intention. It's never with harsh intention. Like, I might, like, make a joke about somebody, or, like, throw some shade at something they did, like, goof off a little bit, but at the heart of it, it's not malicious. My intention is not to be malicious. And so, I don't know if I've ever stated that, but I'm stating it now, that it's, we're aimed at constructive criticism and having, like, reasonable conversations about things that are going on, instead of getting swept up in, like, cancel culture, outrage culture. One person does something wrong and we lose it, and they're horrible people and we hate them. Stuff like that. Like, we're not supporting that. So, those are the two things I wanted to talk about before we, like, got into everything. Now, I want to talk about James Charles. Put a thumbs up emoji if you know about the mugshot challenge and the problems with that, and put a thumbs down if you don't. I'll give you guys a minute to respond. Also, I got Rolling Rock, and I was thinking about it because Wanderlust Z, she was talking about how she had Arbor Mist. I think it's like a cheap wine, and I keep meaning to try it, but I was literally just craving this for some reason, and so when I went to the store today, I got it. But I thought about it. I was like, man, I should have gotten Arbor Mist. I should have gotten that cheap wine. All right. Brianna knows. Potato, McGee, Winnie. Okay. So you guys know about it. What do you think? I'm going to give just kind of like a brief little recap. It looks like most of you guys know, but just in a few sentences, TikTok trend of doing the mugshot challenge where you like smear your makeup or you look like you got into a fight, you mess up your hair, whatever. You look like you are being arrested. It's a mugshot challenge. Lots of people on TikTok were doing it. And then James Charles posted one and people kind of lost their minds a little bit and are really upset that he did it. And a lot of people were saying that like it could be triggering for people who have gone through maybe like domestic violence, or like it could be triggering for people who've dealt with violence in their personal lives, stuff like that. And basically James Charles wasn't sorry about it. And I think he could have had a much better response because he knows that people don't necessarily like him and they like canceling him. But I think of all the things to call somebody out for, I don't know that this is where I would put my energy. Because, like, I get the sentiment of, like, this could really upset somebody, this could hurt somebody, like, seeing that image could be really rough. But at the same time, I don't think he thought about that when he posted the picture. I don't think his intent was to hurt anybody's feelings or take anybody to a dark place. I don't think he thought that it would have this kind of reaction. I think he just saw a trend and was like, oh, this is a trend, I'm gonna do it. Not thinking about the fact that these people aren't getting called out for it because not as many people are on TikTok. Like, not as many, they're not as big of an influencer. Lots of people aren't on TikTok. I have a TikTok, but I literally never go on it. And he has 17 million subscribers. Like, he's the biggest person so far who has done it. And so, like, I don't think he thought that he was going to get this backlash because he's James Charles. Of course he did. I don't really get it. Like, I don't get the whole point of just doing the challenge without, like, putting a funny, like, little, I don't know what it's called, like a card. Because you could put, like, I don't know, got drunk and tripped on my own feet. Like, I don't know. You could put something dumb or like something creative and funny to like how you got injured in like a funny way and then you got arrested. But I just don't get the point of like doing a plain picture for it. Hi, Nala. Avalon said it was funny when people who've actually been arrested do it because it's kind of a way to say they've grown. And I've seen people do that, but being he hasn't been arrested, it's kind of weird. But yes, I also don't think it's to hurt people. Hi, Rhiannon. I'm so happy you are in here. Tinley said, my question is, why was everyone not okay with him doing it, but okay with everyone else doing it, right? Nala said, I think the trend is in really bad taste, and that's as much as can be said about it. Brianna said, I get why people got upset about it. It can be very triggering to some, and I don't really support James Charles just because his content isn't for me, but I don't like how people mainly got upset with him when others were doing it as well. Elizabeth said, this is a TikTok trend. So many people take things from that app and make a big deal about it when it's just kids having fun. And Rhiannon said, just because he's a business-minded person doesn't mean he lacks empathy. Awesome points all around. Tinley, like, that's my thing, is like, he didn't start this trend. It was started on TikTok. A ton of other people have done it. Like I said, I don't get the point of just posting a picture, making it look like you got beat up and arrested without having like a funny arrest reason on there, like drunk and disorderly, or, you know, like something funny to like go with it. Like, I don't get the appeal. But also, like, it is what it is. No one's saying that this is for domestic violence. And I saw a really good point. I was watching a video about it, obviously, and somebody commented saying, like, if you're in a domestic violence situation, the person who's being abused doesn't get arrested. And so it makes no sense that people are saying, like, this is insensitive to people who have gone through that. And I'm like, yeah, like I don't understand where the connection to DV is coming from, because like, yes, I get it. You look at somebody who's been beat up, and with the pandemic that we are in right now, DV is out of control. Like, it's bad, and I feel so bad for people who are like stuck in a house with their abuser. But it wasn't the intention. I don't even think that it, like, I think it's a reach to say that this is like aimed at triggering people or targeting people who are in that situation. Elizabeth said, also no one was getting backlash from it, so I don't blame James for thinking this would be fine. Right. Like, the thing is, people are upset because it's James Charles. Everything, like, James has done bad things. He's done things in bad taste. I'm not a huge James Charles fan, but people love to cancel him. And part of it, 1000% is he has done things that aren't cool. He's done things that are not okay. He's done some questionable, like, baiting on Tinder. He's not a saint. But I think part of it is because he is so young. He gained success so quickly and so early in his life that people subconsciously, or maybe even fully knowing, want to take him down. Like, they don't want to see him succeed. And I don't think it's cool. Like, obviously, he has the biggest audience, so people are going to notice. I didn't know about the trend until he got called out for it. But it's just like, it's just because he has the biggest audience and people love to cancel him that they're making a big deal about this, I think. Courtney said, I thought it had something to do with those weird TikTok guys that do point of view of being criminals bad boys, so I didn't pay it any attention. Right, like, it's based on a TikTok trend. Why do we care? Like, it's not like he's going out licking things in stores like other people are doing. It's not like he's licking handles of stuff. Like, there are so many worse things happening right now that this is what we're upset about. This is what we're focused on. I don't get it. Nala said, I dislike the comparison with The Weeknd's album because this wasn't art. Don't get me wrong. I think being in makeup can also be an art or used to create self-expression. But it's not as if he was making a video where he, for example, put makeup bruises on himself like he'd been fighting to represent how words can hurt, etc., because that would be art, whereas this was just a TikTok, so I think it was in bad taste. Yeah, I do, like, I'm like, okay, it's not quite the same as The Weeknd because The Weeknd isn't doing it as a trend. Like, it's part of, like, the concept of his album. And so, like, I get it. Like, people can totally see it as insensitive. And James's response was not the greatest. But other than that, it's like, it's not like his intention was to hurt people. Abel said, people saying James should delete the picture because it triggers them are being so manipulative. No therapist would be okay with its patient sending hate to an influencer because a picture triggered them. It's a good point. Nala305 said, love your channel, BTW. Thank you. Pink Circle 08 said, I find it so sketchy that drama... we'll get to that in a minute. Courtney said, I feel like if he had done the opposite and say it's glorifying its domestic violence, he would have gotten backlash for taking a TikTok so seriously. Right. Abel, back to what you're saying. I have kind of like a hard time because I try to empathize absolutely as much as I can with people who have gone through things that I haven't experienced. But T-Spill made kind of a good point where she was like, you know, you're saying that this is triggering people with domestic violence, but where do we draw the line? Because, you know, you can scroll past a commercial and see something like for a violent movie or something scary, or an ad could come up, or a trailer at a movie theater. Like, there are plenty of things out there that weren't created to trigger you that could trigger you. So are we getting mad at those people? Like, is this a legit thing? Like, is this really why we're mad at James? Or is it just kind of, it's fun to bash James Charles? You know? It's kind of like that conversation about, is that really what this is about? Or is it just because we don't like him? And Courtney, yeah, like, there's the only way he could have won in this situation is just to not have done anything and not been involved in the situation whatsoever. Like, no one's gonna be happy with him either way. Nala said, I feel so sorry for James. I don't like him myself, and I dislike a lot of things he's done, but people jump on the hate train and go after him. Plus, Tati essentially accused him of being a predator with no proof because she was mad he didn't support her vitamins. Yeah, I mean, the Tati situation was a whole mess. I still don't know, like, what the truth is in that. I literally have no idea, but I think a lot of the things she said were probably maybe exaggerated, if not outright false, because, well, maybe not the things she said, but a lot of the accusations that came out afterwards, it's like no one had proof to back anything up. And here's the thing, people released messages between, like, James and different guys he was dating back then, and I did not like the way that James talked to those people. But, like, there's a difference between being, like, a bad romantic partner and the things that they were accusing him of, and the things that, like, Jeffree Star accused him of. And so it's just like, I want to know the truth behind that situation, but at the end of the day, I have to let it go and just see how people continue to act and how they act going forward. And I feel like it's just been really hard for him to kind of, like, his money isn't suffering. He has 17 million subscribers on YouTube, but, like, in the public eye, he hasn't really been able to come back quite yet. Abel said, when you go to therapy, you're taught to deal with triggers in a healthy way to eventually get over them, since you can always run into triggers. And that's kind of what I'm thinking is, like, man, that's got to be so horrible to know that you can see something and it can trigger you and it can, like, cause you emotional distress, like, without being prepared for that. But you're never going to be able to remove every single trigger from the whole entire world, because so many different things trigger different people. And so, I mean, the approach isn't to, like, shame people who trigger you unintentionally. I feel like the right approach is to be like, you know, go to therapy if you're not in therapy, but also figure out, like, why did this trigger me? How can I handle it better? Like, what can I do to make sure that when I see things that are upsetting to me, I handle it the best way possible? I'm okay. I don't, cause any mental distress to myself further by reacting negatively, if that makes sense. Like, that's what I think, but I don't know. Like, I've never dealt with DV, and so, in my own personal life. So, I want to have as much empathy as possible while also being like, well, hey, you know, he didn't mean to do it. But, Brown said, the first time I saw this trend was on Instagram when someone I graduated with did it and then posted her take on it. I was confused, and then I went to Twitter and saw people were talking about it. Elizabeth said, I don't think that James should have disregarded those who were truly triggered, but it's the internet. It's not James' responsibility to protect every single person that might be triggered. Yeah, okay. So I did see that somebody literally tweeted at him and said, hey, I've been through this, and this was really upsetting for me to see. And he literally responded and was like, so much love to you. I'm so sorry that you had to go through with that. Like, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That wasn't my intention. And so when people are, like, personally approaching him about it, he's not being mean about it. He's being genuine. But just because being offensive, like, wasn't his intention doesn't mean he couldn't have been a little bit kinder in his general response to the public. Oscar, what's up? Hope you're having a good day at work. Avalon said, if something triggers me, my therapist says not to watch it or look at it. Nala said, my whole OCD management includes deliberately exposing myself to triggers to desensitize myself. Abel said, a trigger is supposed to be unexpected. You can't expect the world to be a safe place, so these people are using their trauma to guilt trip people. Yeah, I mean, everyone deals with trauma differently, but you've got to find a way to, like, deal with it instead of expecting the world to conform to you and to cater to the things that are, like, to never ever do anything that could trigger you, because so many things are like you wouldn't expect it to be a trigger. And even like positive triggers, there are some things that you have no idea like positively trigger you in a way. I'm trying to think, there was something that happened the other day that like I smelled something or I thought about something and it instantly triggered me to something in my childhood, and it was a totally positive thing. Like it was a good childhood memory, but I had no idea that, I'm trying to think what it was. But like it was unexpected. I'd never been triggered like that before. And so the world is full of stuff like that. And at some point we have to be like, okay, what can we do to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and being responsible for ourselves? Because trauma is not our fault, but it is our responsibility in how we move forward with it and how we handle it. Natasha said, oh, bye, Natasha. I'll see you later. Abel said, I know what I say sounds harsh, but I think someone needs to say it because people are so afraid to call these people out, but they had it all wrong. It's really misguided. Abel said, random words like waffles or dogs can be triggers as well. Smells, songs, right. Definitely. Avalon said, right, doorbells or the sound of laughing children can trigger my PTSD. Ugh. I'm so sorry about that, but again, like those are things that people wouldn't really consider that. They wouldn't think that something like that could trigger something so harsh. And so, I mean, I don't know. Like, Abel, I'm on the same page as you. Like, it sucks that people were upset. It sucks that, like, you know, because I did see one girl specifically said, like, this triggered me because I've been through domestic violence and it just brought me back to this place. I have sympathy for her. But I think in a lot of cases, there are people who make it like a practice to get offended for other people. Like they'll say like, oh, this could be offensive to this group of people. And then they get really mad about it. And then the people who like would have the right to be offended or have the right to be upset often end up being like, oh, you know, it is what it is. You know, like they're upset or they are a little bit hurt, but they're not super outraged wanting to cancel people like the ones who like make it their mission to take up for them are. I just think it's interesting. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, I don't get the trend. I know that this isn't like a new thing. They're like bachelorette parties. They'll have like little I literally don't know what those are called, like a card that says like arrested for whatever, like stealing shots, and like they'll take pictures of like, oh, mugshot pics. So it's a common thing that's been going on for such a long time. I don't get the whole makeup trend on it. I don't know what the motivation is other than participating in a trend, but I just don't think James Charles should be getting as much hate. Abel said, I wouldn't say these people are evil, but they're weaponizing their trauma to manipulate people, which is really common in some victims of abuse as well, since trauma is tricky and not everybody can deal with it easily. Definitely. That can happen. That can happen with some people, like you said. But that's what I wanted to say. I mean, like I said, I think he could have been a little bit nicer in the way that he responded when people started calling him out. But at the same time, like, I can't imagine what it's like to be him, to constantly be getting called out for everything you do, to have 17 million subscribers at 20 years old, and to have so many people dislike you and want to see you fail. So I think, like, if I was him, I don't know if I would have had the kindest response, you know? It's like, what's that phrase? It's like, if everything is sacred, then nothing is. If James Charles, like, upsets us for everything, that, like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of the way I want to phrase it. You know, like, there's a difference between criticism and constructive criticism. But if we're just criticizing every single thing he does, then the valid criticisms are gonna get lost in it. And I feel like Avalon was talking about, like, I don't know why people are mad just now when people have taken these photos before TikTok and James. It's like, this is the thing that we should not be worried about. Like, yeah, I don't get the trend. It could be upsetting to some people, and the people who are upset about it have every right to share their opinion. But of all the things going on in the world right now and everything James Charles has ever done, this is the least of my concerns. If we're mad at him for everything, sooner or later, he's just going to give up and be like, I don't care that you're mad. Like, I'm doing what I'm going to do, because he's so used to getting that criticism every single day. Nala said, if your trigger is a thing like the word waffles, as a random example, then I don't think it's everyone's job to be careful saying that word. Your loved ones, however, should respect all your triggers. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it is important, absolutely. If you know specifically something is triggering to somebody, it's important to be aware of that and to be, like, conscious of it and do everything you can to avoid triggering them. But like you said, like, if it's a random trigger, everyone in the world isn't going to know that. They're not going to be, like, aware and on top of it because they don't know. But your family and the people close to you, like, they should know and they should respect it, absolutely. Elizabeth said, exactly. Why are people who aren't affected at all by this so ready to jump on behalf of others who can speak for themselves or never vocalized a problem? Right. Oh, Abel said, I remember seeing that. What did she say? I'm going to see if I can find it on Twitter. You're talking about Marlene Estelle. Because I saw her tweet, and I was like, I don't know about that. Like, it just seemed really aggressive. And I think Marlena has, like, I just think she kind of has, like, a chip on her shoulder about James ever since he called her that woman. Which, yeah, that was disrespectful. I feel like James was kind of throwing a hissy fit, being like, that woman shouldn't have her own series. You should contact me, Netflix. Like, that's a bad look. But at the end of the day, she's a grown woman. He is, like, half her age. He was, 19, 18 at the time? And here's another thing that I want to talk about a little bit. And I'm going to be talking about it in a video coming out on Tuesday. People think that, like, 18, 19, 20-year-olds are supposed to be just grown and mature and on top of everything. And, oh, I would never do that when I was 18. And I'm like, your frontal lobe, which is responsible for, like, your reasoning and how you process the world, isn't fully developed until your mid-20s. So if you were a perfect 18, 19, 20-year-old, that's amazing. Like, good for you. But there were so many stupid things I did at that age that I'm like, man, what was I thinking? Like, I feel like people need to cut people who are that age some slack. Like, 18, 19, 20, even into your mid-20s, you just got to cut them some slack. Like, I'm glad if you were perfect, but not everybody is like that. Not everybody matures the same rate, the same age. People's life experiences are different. And so just because somebody is, like, 20, 19 doesn't mean that they should have everything figured out and not make mistakes. Yes, they should learn from them and they should take responsibility for them, but, like, people hold the influencers to just such a high standard that I think it would be impossible to live under. I really do. Like, it would be so hard as a young influencer. So as much as, like, I want to call them out for stuff and hold them accountable for stuff, I also have a lot of sympathy for them and, like, want to approach them with, hey, here's how you can make this better. Like, you know, not trying to be mean to them. Okay, but back to Marlena. Oh, she's talking about how YouTube is hiding my videos now. Interesting. Okay. Pictures of people using Makeup Geek. Trying to find the tweet. Oh, okay. Here it is. She said, "So we're really making a spectacle now out of mugshots and thinking this is okay. Does anyone understand how tone deaf that is to those who have survived abuse?" Again, like, if you were abused, you wouldn't have a mugshot. Like, you wouldn't be arrested. I get that, like, that looking like you have a black eye or a bloody nose can be associated with DV, but, like, realistically, when you think about this critically, they're not saying, like, why would somebody make a joke about, like, I got arrested for DV? Like, it has nothing to do with that, and I understand that people see it and get triggered and are upset. I am not discounting that whatsoever. But Marlena has a responsibility as someone with a large platform to do a bit more critical thinking, I think. Anyway, I wasn't going to post on this, but quite frankly, I'm pissed that we're stooping to this. No, it's not just special effects. It's calling it a mugshot knowing full well... Oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh. It's calling it a mugshot knowing full well this looks like someone who was beat. Abuse survivors don't just deal with physical scars like these, but long-term emotional ones that last when the bruises fade. Seeing these is triggering for those who wake up every day having to deal with PTSD or traumatic memories of the abuse that happened to them. It's a disgusting trend, and I don't want to hear any excuses defending it. And then she said, if you need to escape an abusive environment and happen to be in Texas, I've been to HAWC Talk, HAWC Talk, and it's an amazing facility. Go support them and visit their website if you want to learn info about domestic abuse and how to help. It's hawc.org. So, I like the last tweet about giving information to people who are survivors and who want to, are trying to get out of that situation and need support. So, totally great that she included that resource. But, again, this doesn't make sense because as a survivor, you wouldn't be getting arrested, and if you're the abuser, you probably wouldn't have, like, a broken nose or a bruised, like, a black eye. You might, but again, no one's saying, like, look at me, I'm an abuser, here's my mugshot. Like, that's not what it's for. And I understand she was triggered by this 1000%, but I feel like she has a responsibility as someone with a larger influence and who is a CEO of a company, like a full-on adult. She's a full-fledged adult, to think a little bit more before she goes after James. Because honestly, I feel like she didn't say anything about it until James did it. And of course, people didn't always know about it until James did it because he's the biggest one to have done it. But I feel like she has kind of, she has an out for him a little bit. And so I think it was just a little bit targeted. Like, I don't think it was a coincidence that James is the one who did it. And then she spoke out. Yeah. Abel said, I found James's hate very dishonest. I think most people want to destroy him just because... mostly Jeffree Star stands. Yeah. Avalon said, if it's making fun of anyone, I would think it would be people with drug addiction or living hard lives, not domestic abuse. That's a good point. I mean, the thing is, it could be seen as making fun of people, but I don't think that's what it was. I think this is a common thing that we've seen for years and years and years. Like I said, people at bachelorette parties will have little cards saying that they got arrested for dumb stuff, like wedding puns. And it's been a really common thing. And so this is just a new iteration of it. And I don't think the intent was malicious. That doesn't mean the execution was flawless, but I think people need to look at the big picture a little bit more. Elizabeth said, Marlena needs to take a seat. You're a whole adult. She always speaks about how she never involves herself in drama despite the fact that she herself won't stay out of things. Right. Potato McGee said, I think instead of purely calling people out for glorifying abuse, the people calling him out could have provided resources / learning material for those in DV situations and given DV victims a platform. Yeah, absolutely. This would literally be a great time to do that when the conversation is so, like, on topic. That's a good point with Potato McGee. When I do the re-upload of this, I'm going to include national DV resources for America. I'll see if I can find some for other countries, but I know for sure, I think like the RAIN project is for stuff like that. Yeah, I'll look it up. Let me take a note, because I'll put links in the description. So if anyone is suffering from DV, if you are in a situation, if you are not sure if you are in an abusive situation, anything like that, you can reach out to one of the resources that I'll put in the description. That was a great point, Potato. Abel said, Marlena made a Bye Sister copycat video and tried to take down James as well. I know she's being fake. Yeah, Elizabeth, Abel and Elizabeth, you guys made good points. Like, Marlena always talks about, like, oh, I'm not in drama, I don't do the whole influencer thing. But somehow, she's always being talked about for pulling some drama. And I think it's kind of ironic how when her whole relaunch happened, she got into it with, what was her name? The influencer who used to, like, work for Makeup Geek or used to partner with them a lot. Like, Fancy Face, is that her name? Do any of you guys remember? How she, like, doxed her email address and her full name? And then Marlena put a copyright claim on her video, or a copyright strike on her channel. And she was literally in the drama. If you remember what YouTuber that was, please put it below, because I can't remember. Maybe I'll look it up. No. But, I mean, the point stands. Like, Marlena talks about influencer culture and how she literally, I think, in her little video, her very long video that she made calling out all the influencers that she doesn't like, I think it's super interesting that she literally called people out by name. Like, I think that just shows you that she's not above all of this like she pretends to be. Like, in her head, she might think she's above everything, but literally, like, talking about how Nicole Concilio wasn't nice to her, it's like, ma'am, you want to be in the drama, otherwise you wouldn't have said their names. Okay, but you don't remember either. It's fine, but she was a YouTuber, and she doesn't say her full name, and Marlena included her information in that long video, and then when she was like, hey, please take this out, hey, my information is in here, like, my personal information is in your video, please take it down, she didn't respond to her, and she didn't take it down. And then she ended up copyright striking Marlena copyright striked this girl's channel, and she, like, then she wouldn't own up to it. She was like, oh, my team's looking into it when people called her out on it. And then she literally got on Instagram Live and was like, I didn't know that it was going to put a copyright strike on her channel. I just wanted her to stop using Makeup Geek in the title of her videos because it's a copywritten term. And it's like, you know for a fact, like, you know that by putting a copyright strike on someone's channel, you are entering a legal dispute. Like, you are entering a legal process saying that they took your intellectual property and presented it as their own. Like, you can't copyright a word and say that people can't say it. You can't, like, people couldn't make another Makeup Geek Cosmetics, but people can use Makeup Geek in the titles as much as they want. So, yeah, like, I want to like her. I feel like when everyone found out that Jaclyn Hill kind of screwed her over, a lot of people were like, like, that sucks, we want to support Marlena, and I was definitely in that boat. But now I'm like, I don't necessarily feel so bad for you, because it seems like you're just as sketchy, like, you're just as shady. Courtney said, oh, her. Courtney, do you know her name? What is it? Like I said, I think it's like Fancy Face or something, I think is her name. But I don't know. It'll take a while to like look it up. So that was what I wanted to talk about with James. We talked about it for quite a long time. At the end of the day, like I said, bad taste, sure. I don't get the trend. I don't see why people like to do it, but at the same time, I don't think it was done with malicious intent, and I think everyone needs to give James a bit of a break. Like, everyone needs to chill. Elizabeth said, I don't know names, but I know exactly what you're talking about, right? Like, you know the situation, but what was her name? I don't know. I do not know. But next topic I wanted to talk to you guys about was Tana's video. And this is going to be kind of brief because I don't have a ton to say about it, but in one of my last lives we talked about Tana and the whole like not taking asthma seriously, and Trevor like quitting alcohol and trying to stay sober, and that whole situation, and how Tana said she was going to make a video about everything going on and explain herself, and she did. So put a thumbs up if you watched it. Oh, Nala305 said I looked it up. It was Fancy Face. Oh my gosh. Thank you for looking it up. I was like, I swear it's something like that, but it just didn't sound right. But okay, I guess it was Fancy Face. But yeah, put a thumbs up if you watched Tana's video. Put a thumbs down emoji if you didn't. Oh, the Fancy Face. Gotcha. Thank you for looking that up, Nala. Bye, Abel. Have a good one. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate all your input. Alright. Just a reminder, put a thumbs up if you have seen Tana's video about explaining everything, emoji, and a thumbs down if you haven't. Alright, we got some thumbs up. Avalon watched clips of it. Okay. Elizabeth said, but she's the YouTuber expert. Ah, Danielle, hello. Okay, so you guys have seen it. Okay. Cool. So, what did we think of it? Because there were some people who, I mean, basically, like, most of you guys watched it. Basically, just talking about kind of like different parts about how she knew she shouldn't do the MTV show because she was at a really dark point in her life, but she had plenty of conversations saying, like, if we could use this for good, I'm down. And, like, apparently she was really adamant on that. She said that she, like, oh my gosh. Oh, she takes asthma very seriously, and they were just making jokes because they were relieved that it wasn't tuberculosis and it wasn't something more serious. She said that she got an apartment in like Hollywood or LA, like just for her to be by herself and to focus on her mental health, all that. And then like it was just basically like a 50-minute long video of kind of talking about everything going on and kind of explaining how most of what people are mad at her for was like MTV editing. And I saw a lot of people talking about like, this is the Tana we love. I'm so excited you came out and said this. Like, I knew it wasn't you. I knew that wasn't how you were. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and something funny, she was like, I am always like overwhelmingly nice to service professionals. And that may be true. But, like, you can't edit her saying what she said to the nurse and to the doctor about how she's not going to quit smoking weed for a week. And how, like, can you just take this off, and, like, pulling it off. Like, they may have left that situation at a good place because she said, like, oh, me and the doctor, like, we're friends now. And so she could have left it at, like, a good place with them. But I'm like, that's not MTV editing things. That is them filming you being a bit of a brat. And like I said, like, everyone has always said, like, every fan who has ever met Tana said, she gave me the most genuine hug, she was so nice, like, all of that stuff. And so I have no doubt that for service professionals, she is kind, nice, like isn't, I don't know, entitled, isn't mean, stuff like that. But it's not all MTV's fault. It's not all editing. Like, we know that she shows up late for business meetings. She doesn't come to appointments on time. She'll make appointments with people, like, to get her makeup done and then not be there when they say to be there. And so it's just like, only so much of it can be MTV. Avalon said her depression made sense as to why she didn't care, but it doesn't excuse why she acts like a brat. You can't edit some things in, like her screaming at a skating rink in public. Right. Like, and here's the thing, because, like, half of the comments were, yes, Tana, this is the real you. I'm so happy you made this video. All that. Super supportive. Great. Some people are like, so you guys are really falling for this again. Because, like, I have no doubts that she struggles with depression. Tana has made it very well known that she had a really tough childhood. She has relied on pills to make her feel better. Like, I know that depression is a chemical thing. So, like, relying on pills to make her feel better. Having the tough childhood could lead to, like, anxiety and issues like processing things and dealing with things in a mature way. So, like, mental health stuff. I'm sure she's not lying about that. But at the same time, I feel like we've seen this video before. And it could be just me being cynical, but I feel like every time something, like, big happens that she gets called out for, it's kind of about, like, I was going through a tough time. I really got to take care of myself. I'm on this journey. Like, it just felt like deja vu. And so I don't know if any of you felt like that, but, like, I don't know. It sounds like the same story over and over again. She's always going through a tough time. She's always struggling, and she's always going to do better for herself and for the people who look up to her. It's just kind of what I feel like I'm used to hearing from her. And I don't know if it's just me, like I said, like, having a bias or being cynical, or if this is a common pattern of what she does when she gets called out for things. Avalon said, all her apologies seem sincere. I'm starting to think she might just be good at being sorry. That doesn't mean she's not sorry, but she never changes after the apology. Right. Okay, Avalon, you said I felt like that. I agree. I think she does kind of, like, recognize that her behavior isn't great and that she is sorry and she doesn't want to be the person who, like, I don't know, not lets people down, but, like, she understands why people are upset and she wants to do better, but she doesn't take the steps to actually do it, to, like, actually make that change. Now, however, if she did get that apartment, like, just for her, and she's been going there and she's been working on herself, that's great. Like, I would love to see Tana mature, but at the same time, like, I just feel like she's been at this spot for years. Like, for years, I feel like she's been there. And then she talks about how, like, she's taking things seriously, she's getting better, she's not going to be on Xanax anymore, all this stuff. And then she posts a Chile's mukbang where they smoked, like, where they were super high in it. And here's the thing, like, weed is legal in California, totally fine. Like, I don't care what you do. But you're literally talking about, like, I'm getting healthy, I'm getting my life together, I realized that I had a problem relying on, like, I had a dependency on weed and on pills to make myself feel better, and I'm getting better. And then the next video you post is you being high. Like, it's not the move in my head. That's not what I would choose to post. Courtney said, words mean nothing if you don't act on them, so I hope she does do better. Right. Like I said, I just feel like we've heard this so many times before. And the thing is, like, I've said this multiple times. If that's the type of person you want to be, own it. Like, we don't have to like it. She doesn't have to be anybody for anything. Like, it would be great if she realized that this wasn't the, like, healthiest way for her to live her life, and she, like, really, you know, she has the time, she has the resources to take care of herself, to go to a psychiatrist, to go to a therapist. Like, she's got everything she needs. Hop on over there, do some work. It would be great. Like, we all want to see her succeed and thrive, I think. But if she doesn't want that for herself, she doesn't have to claim that she does, because people love her regardless. They love her either way. And a lot of people love her because she is a mess. So, like, she could just own it, and we wouldn't, like, expect better from her. Elizabeth said, honestly, I need actions. Tana talks a lot but never truly delivers on how she will actually change. Exactly, that's how I feel. It's funny because I noticed, like, in her videos where she's, like, being serious, she has kind of, like, a deeper tone in her voice. And I get it, like, you know, you sound a little bit more serious when you are having a serious conversation versus when you're just, like, regular hanging out. But it's, like, the Tana apology tone. Like, I hear it every time she makes a video like that where she's like, I'm trying to, like, impersonate her, but I don't know if I can do it. Where she's like, and I would fight for my friend, for Trevor. Like, she has this, like, deeper vibrato that she goes into. It's not even the right word, but she's, like, a deeper tone, I guess. Avalon said she'd probably have a bigger fan base if she just owned it. Right. Yeah. Elizabeth said, maybe I'm just mean, but she has the resources to get better and set a better example to her subscribers. Right. Because that's the thing, like, you know, she says that she wants to be better. She says she like, recognizes she has this huge platform, all this stuff. But then people who are, like, waiting for her to get better are disappointed. Whereas if she literally just owned it, like, you could get rid of the people who are hoping for her to change, and she could attract more of the people who like watching her as she is. And I think she could benefit greatly from changing, from going to a professional, from getting help. But it's her life at the end of the day, and I wish people owned what they did a little bit more. That's what I want. Like, people want to be shady behind the scenes. People want to, like, do all these things in the dark and then pretend that they're above it or that they're better than it. And it's like, no, if you're gonna do that, do that. Like, if that's the type of person you want to be it. But if it's not, you're probably gonna have to make some changes. Yeah, Avalon said she has the money to get all the therapy she could need. Nala said, I relate to having some stuff from childhood. I'd love to sit down with her and talk about it, but it's disappointing. She is just not doing anything to get better, which I am trying to do. Yeah, that's the thing, is, like, it sucks when you see somebody, like, you can identify with them and you see that same struggle or that same experience, and you see them not trying to get any better or trying to do better when they're claiming that they want to. Avalon said, people enjoy watching messes or train wrecks. They do. They love it. It's, like, literally, I think it's part of why she grew so fast, because she talked about all the things she did that were messy or that were wrong, like outrageous, crazy, like all that stuff. So, like, people would love it. Nala, back to what you're saying, though, the one thing that I did feel for her on, because everything else, I'm just kind of like, all right, yeah, like, you were going through a tough time, I get it, whatever. One thing that I really felt was when she said, like, I have to be okay with the fact that my parents are never going to apologize to me the way that I want them to. Because that's profound. I don't know if somebody told her that, if she came to that conclusion, if, like, I don't know how she got that, like, came to that realization, but I felt for her on that. Because the thing is, like, she's talked about having a bad childhood. It's something that's not, like, a secret. It's not something that we're speculating on. And, like, personally, I have been very blessed to have good parents, like, good relationships with both my parents. You know, I grew up in a healthy, safe home. But I've seen people who didn't, like, who their parents abandoned them or were absentee, like, didn't take care of them, didn't, you know, treat them like their kids, like, didn't treat them like, you are my child and I love you and you're precious. And I've seen how that changes them as they get older. And at some point, like, you can keep blaming those people, you can keep blaming your childhood, blaming your parents, blaming the trauma that you went through, and like not recognizing that at the end of the day, like they did that as adults. Like your parents treated you the way they treated you as adults. And maybe they were going through their own stuff. Maybe they were going through mental health stuff, financial stress, addiction, whatever it may be. But at some point in your life, you got to say, like, there's nothing I can do about that. I can't change who you were when I was a kid, and I can't change who you are now. And so I've got to either cut you off and move on, or I've got to accept you for who you are. But I can't expect anything more from you than I've gotten my entire life. And you have to come to that point where you say, I'm an adult now, and I'm taking responsibility for me, and I'm not letting this define me anymore. And so if Tana truly recognizes that, I think if she can work through that, that is going to be a massively powerful thing. Because I do think she relies on Jordan in sort of like a parent role, even though they're very close in age, which I did not know. I thought he was a bit older. They're like only a few years apart. And I think she still kind of sees him as like a fatherly figure and craves that approval from him and rebels against him as a dad because she's trying to fill that void that she has from her dad not being the best dad. And so she's got to do some work on that, I think, and that would really massively just improve her life and improve the relationships that she holds with men in her life. Ella said, and it's sad because there's mental health crisis in my country. It's in every country, to be honest, but people can't access the help they need here, whereas she can, right? All right, good night, Nala. Have a good night. I hope you sleep well. Thank you for hanging out and sharing your thoughts. Courtney said, what you said about parents, I knew this, but still. It sucks. Like, it's hard. But at the end of the day, like, we have to realize that, you know, like I said, like, your parents treated you how they treated you when you were a kid, and they were grown. Even if they had their kids young, which both of her parents are a bit older, like, not like old, but like older than you would expect a 21-year-old's parents to be. But like, they did that. They inflicted whatever trauma it was that they inflicted on her when she was a kid and they were grown. And so you have to say, like, you did this as a full-fledged adult, so I can't expect anything else from you other than what I've gotten. And so I do think if she really just accepted that, worked through it, went to therapy, because again, she has every single resource she would need, it would massively improve her life. And I truly want to see that from her. Like I said, people can do whatever they want. If she wants to be known as the person for partying, like drinking, smoking in bars and clubs, like being a train wreck, it's totally fine. But I'm rooting for her. Like, I want to see her succeed. I want to see her actions change. That's just me, though. It's kind of how I feel about, like, Trisha Paytas. Like, she is a mess. She's done some very, very terrible, horrible things. But if I see her take steps to improve, I'd be like, yes, Trisha. Like, I remember watching her before she had lip filler and, like, when she was friends with Shane and Drew. And I still have that idea of her in my head. And I'm like, I want her to succeed. I want her to feel loved. And I think a lot of her mess comes from not getting as much love as she wanted to get as a kid, or from having her parents be separated and going back and forth. Like, parents can really mess you up. They can do a number on you. And like I said, you can't blame it for the rest of your life. You have to take agency over yourself and move on. But like, both of them, I'm just like, I want you guys to succeed. I want you to feel loved and fulfilled and satisfied and happy. I want that for everybody. But boy, do they make it hard. Elizabeth said, yeah, I think it's tragedy that any child would have to go through that and be trapped in their adulthood by this, but how we cope is our responsibility. Right. It is, like, and it sucks. But at the end of the day, we gotta be like, all right, I can't change it. The past is the past. Let's do this. Let's move on. Because I've seen people let themselves be defined by that and hold so much, like, resentment for their parents and blame their parents for everything that's gone wrong in their lives, when I've seen other people in the exact same situation say, like, all right, that happened, that sucked, but I'm responsible for me, and I'm gonna move on because I want to be happy, I want to be successful, I want to be healthy. And they take responsibility for it, they accept their parents for who they are, and they move on. And it's just, the differences are so much, like, they're so massive, like, the difference in quality of life between people who want to blame their parents and blame their past on where they're at now, and those who say, like, I'm an adult, this is my responsibility, I'm moving on. Avalon said, yes, I'd be happy for Trisha. I can't watch her right now, but if she got the help she needed, I'd be happy. Right. Like, I'm literally not watching anything she posts because I'm like, I can't. Like, I just can't. This is too far. After she like put that video out about being trans, it's pretty much when I stopped watching her. But I was just like, I didn't have necessarily that hardness, I guess, in my heart. Like, I was just like, okay, like, you did this, I don't get it. I think it's very offensive, but, like, people were very upset, and I was like, this isn't cool. And so I just kind of stopped watching her. I didn't have any, like, hate in my heart for her, though. Not that I have hate now, but now I'm just like, I have no desire to hear anything you have to say. Like, until you realize what you've done. Because she said in a tweet, somebody was like, oh, I wish Trisha would recognize the damage that she's done by coming out as having DID when she doesn't. And Trisha literally said, like, baby girl, there's people who are actively hurting people. Let me live my life. And it's like, Trisha, you are literally actively hurting people by doing this. And I don't get it. I don't get the motivation, and I want her to be better. But until she recognizes that what she does impacts other people, I just can't. Like, I can't support it whatsoever. Elizabeth, yeah. Also, Trisha, I don't think I could ever like her. Again, she has the resources to be better, and all she does is pull stunts. This isn't a Hollywood set. Please leave the stunts at home. Also, I will say that the main reason why they can get away with this is because this is what their platform is built on. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing with Trisha is, like, she got away with it for a very long time. And, like, even now, I don't think this is going to be the end of her career. She's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on OnlyFans alone. She has like 4 million subscribers. This is definitely not going to be the end for her. But there has been quite a bit of like not like a sharp decline, but just kind of like less and less people being interested. And she's used to using shock value to gain more people and get them more interested. And so that's what she does. Like, that's what we've come to expect from her. But I feel like this is just too far. Like, she's you can only sustain that for so long. Avalon said, as somebody who's actually diagnosed, her videos hurt people. Exactly. Like, I don't know. I think she compared it to the X-Men. She was like, you know how they have invisible powers? I'm like, Trisha, no. Like, this isn't a cool movie thing. Like, you're not in Split. You don't have superpowers. This is something that results from trauma. This is a serious thing. And I don't get the thought process behind trying to use it. Like, I think she probably just thought she could capitalize off of Anthony Padilla's video, to be completely honest. because his was posted pretty quickly before she posted her video. And so I get it. Like, I get the thought of, like, oh, let me capitalize on this thing that people are talking about. But, like, she couldn't have come out and said, like, because he's done one where he was, like, spending a day with goths. She couldn't have come out and been like, I'm secretly goth. Here's my secret life. You know, she could have picked so many different things to, like, reveal about herself instead of picking something that is so serious. Yeah, Evelyn said, I think she'll totally make a comeback whether we like it or not. I mean, people are going to forget about it. It's going to, like, slowly go away. She's going to have, like, a decent amount of views. The thing is, like, so YouTube is crazy because she gets, like, 100,000 views on her videos, like, on average. And it's like, dang, like, that's a massive amount of people. But she also has 4 million subscribers, which means that her, like, engagement rate is really low. Like, she should be getting a lot more than that. And so it's interesting because I'm like, oh, her views are bad. If you look at 125,000 views, you're like, oh, wow, that's a lot. But when you look at the percentage, they're not good. And so I think they're going to go back down to, like, 100,000 views, and then she's going to pick something else to go back on. Like, I don't think we'll ever get rid of the trolling behavior, which, I don't love. But at this point, all I can do is ignore it. You know, like, all we can do is say, we don't like this behavior, we're not going to engage in it, and we're taking a step back. Elizabeth said, I mean, she's dating Ethan's brother-in-law, so let's see what crying videos will come out of that. Right. Brenna, I'm waiting till the second part of your comment comes through to read it. I do want to talk about that a little bit, though, with Trisha and Gila's brother. But, yeah. That's another thing that's happening that was, like, on my agenda. Avalon said, as soon as the views drop, she'll be a troll. I think you're right, and we shouldn't engage with it. Right? I'm assuming you meant shouldn't engage with it. But yeah, it's just like, she's gonna come back, she's gonna troll again. At this point, it's just like, I'm ignoring this. Like, I'm putting up a wall. I don't want to see this. I don't care. Brianna said, I'm personally guilty of putting blame on my mom for the way I am because of what she put me and my sister through and what she did to us as kids. And now I'm about to turn 19. I'm trying to forgive her for what she did, and that's hard. But now that I'm an adult, I'm responsible for what I do. I need to stop trying to pass the blame onto someone else. That is so incredibly commendable, Brianna. Like, at 19, for you to have that thought, it is hard. Like, I would never say that it's easy to forgive your parents for the things that they did that gave you trauma, or for the way that they treated you, or you know, for anything, like anything you hold against them, because that's your parent and like that's the person who's supposed to love you the most and take care of you the most. It's such a betrayal, and it's not easy. But the fact that you're thinking about it now and you're trying, like, that's incredible. And like I said, I commend you for it. I think you will only get better from saying, like, from taking on the responsibility of who I am from here on out. That's on me, and I get to decide who I am. Because that's an awesome thing, is like recognizing that, okay, like, you did this to me and that sucked, and for a long time I let that define who I am. But now, like, from this day forward, I'm responsible for who I am. Like, I get to choose who I'm gonna be, what type of person I am, how I act, what my values are, and everything, like, my world, who I am, I get to create. And I think that that is such a cool attitude to have, and such, like, an inspiring approach, as opposed to letting someone else define you, letting the stuff they did keep you in a space that you don't want to be in. Like, it's so cool. I get really amped on stuff like that, like deciding who you are and where you're going to be and where you're going. Like, you have the freedom to be anyone, and I think it is very, very cool that you are choosing to be somebody who forgives, takes responsibility for yourself, and moves on. It's very, very cool. Avalon, you said shouldn't. Yeah. I figured that you meant shouldn't, but I didn't want to, like, speak for you. Yeah. So we just shouldn't engage. But, so last thing I want to talk about, and I'll talk about it real quick because we've been chatting for a bit. So Trisha is apparently dating Hila's brother from H3H3, and they're making videos about it, talking about, like, Trisha paid us ruin the Bachelorette and all this stuff, and, like, clickbaiting with Trisha. And I don't know what to think of the whole situation. I'm so confused because I'm like, are they actually, like, secretly dating and Ethan and Hila don't know about it? Or is this whole thing orchestrated? Either way, I don't care, but I keep seeing videos about it, and so I'm like, I really want to know, because they keep saying, like, oh, like, what's his name, Moses? Is it Moses? I think so. They're like, Moses won't tell us what's going on, he's being really cryptic about it, all that stuff, like, you know, he won't tell us anything. I think Trisha's trying to, like, weasel her way into the family because I said that she couldn't watch our kid. Like, all this stuff. So they're, like, definitely capitalizing on it. But I really want to know, like, is Hila's brother just being super secretive, or was it all planned out? Caitlin said, I think accepting what they did and not letting it define you is valuable, but I don't think certain trauma deserves forgiveness or that you should keep a toxic parent in your life if they are negative. That is an amazing point. Absolutely. Absolutely. If someone is being toxic, like, legit being toxic, because some people get a little bit, like, carried away with, like, oh, I disagree with this person, they're toxic. Like, if someone is legitimately toxic, you have no, like, what's it called? You have no responsibility to keep them in your life. You can say, thank you, and goodbye. That's a really great point, Caitlin. Thank you for saying that. Okay, Brianna, yeah, that's his name. So I just want to know, like, if it's legit, like, if they really are confused about what's going on between Trisha and Moses, or if it's all orchestrated. But kind of the reason I wanted to bring it up, okay, Elizabeth said, would not be surprised if this is all planned out since Trisha has done weird things, but, like, Ethan is weird and I wouldn't put it past him to also go along with Trisha. Right. Courtney said it could be because of quarantine. They can't film unless it was pre-filmed, so instead they keep up views on both parts by doing this. Right, like, I wouldn't put it past either of them. Like, Trisha, for sure. Like, 1000%. I know Trisha would plan something like this. And for them, for Ethan and Hila, I feel like I wouldn't put it past them because they've said, like, we use Trisha for views. Like, anything we put with Trisha in the title gets views. Like, they've talked about it openly. And so it definitely wouldn't surprise me. But the main reason I wanted to talk about it was because there's a creator that I used to really, 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 really like, but recently I felt like, I don't know if it's that they're being nitpicky or that they are becoming bitter or what, but they made a video about this and I literally couldn't even watch the whole thing because I was like, this is so, like, aggressive that I can't take it. Like, I'm very sensitive, like, to the things that I watch. Like, I prefer kind of mellow things. Like, that's why I create more mellow content because that's what I resonate with on, like, an energetic level. But she was so aggressive talking about how, like, this is the betrayal because we were supposed to have Ethan from H3H3, we were supposed to have iDubbbz, and we were supposed to have Leafy. They were the protectors of the internet, and now they've turned on us, and it was just wild. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Spill the tea, say names. I don't want smoke, but also, I'll say it. It's Shannon from Creepshow Art. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of her, if you watch her, but you said I know who it is. Okay. Like I said, like I don't want to like cause a problem. But Elizabeth, I said it. But I used to really, really enjoy her videos, and she has this way of talking that is so like attention getting, and like she's very self-deprecating. When I first started watching her, I was like, I love the way that she talks and the way she describes things and is like straight up about stuff. But I don't know if it's a change in me or if it's a change in the content. And Elizabeth, since you knew so much, do you think that it's like, have you noticed a change in the attitude, or is it just me? Because I'm really curious, because I don't see anybody else talking about it. But I also like the only place I would see it is on YouTube. I haven't seen anybody. Elizabeth said, LOL, sorry. I just felt that so much from her video. It just feels like the videos have gotten very aggressive and very much just like high intensity. I don't know if it's like anger or bitterness. I don't know what it would be bitterness about, because she has a very successful channel. She's growing every day. People love her content, but it's just so like, whew, like it was, I could not finish the video because I was like, this is a lot. Like I can't handle this level of like anger or intensity. Elizabeth said, yeah, she's not the same. Like, I know she shouldn't care about others, but she went a little too hard. Right, because, I mean, she's entitled to have her opinion, obviously. Like, duh, that's what she talks about, like, is her opinion on YouTube. But she just seemed really angry that they were using Trisha Paytas for views. Like, and I'm just like, what do you expect them to do? Like, what is YouTube about? It is about getting the most views you can. So if they can get a ton of views by using Trisha Paytas, why would they not? And I think, I'm trying to remember when I first noticed it. I think it was probably, I don't know, just a few months ago. Something that really like kind of got me to start noticing it is was when she Elizabeth said, especially because Trisha does the exact same thing. Yeah, it's not like they're hurting Trisha by clickbaiting with her. Like, Trisha knows the game. But so Shannon and Karuna Satori like had a beef because Shannon called anti-vaxxers Karens, like said that they all look like Karens. And I don't have a problem with that. Karuna didn't like that. She had a problem like saying, and I don't know what the exact word was, but she said like, I was a big fan of you and I don't like this. And eventually what it like whittled down to was the fact that Karuna said, I think the best way to educate people, like to change people's minds on vaccines, is to educate them. Like, not to call them names, not to belittle them, but to actually have a conversation with them, because someone having a conversation with me is what changed my mind. And like, Shannon did not respect that whatsoever. She's like, how am I going to have a conversation with somebody so stupid that they still think vaccines are bad? Like, it was something along those lines. It wasn't a direct quote, but she literally gave like no thought to what Karuna said. And I'm like, that is an excellent point. Why would anybody listen to you? Why would anybody change their mind to align with your views if you're coming at them, calling them a Karen, calling them dumb? And here's the thing. I make jokes about vaccines a lot because I think, like, I posted it on my Instagram. It's like, oh, BT dubs, the CDC also, like, since we're all listening to the CDC, they also recommend vaccinating your kids. Like, I'm going to make jokes. You should vaccinate your kids. But I also understand that we are living in a time where a lot of people, for a large chunk of their lives, believed that a falsified study stating that vaccines were harmful was true. Like, it took a while. That big study that came out that proved it. Oh, this is what causes autism. Like, which, again, like, I'd rather my kid have autism than, like, get measles or the polio. Besides the point. Like, smallpox. But, like, so many people believe that that study was true for such a long time because it took a while to come out that it was falsified. And so, while I think it would be great if people were, like, aware enough to do research and say, like, okay, there's a reason people aren't dying of preventable illnesses like the ones that we have vaccines for anymore, and it's because we have vaccines. I understand the logic of, if someone comes at me and calls me stupid for one of my beliefs, what are the chances that I'm going to listen to another word that they have to say? Goose egg chances. So, like, I get her point of saying, like, have a conversation. Yeah. Elizabeth said Shannon went ham on her, an entire video on her that didn't really feel warranted, especially because she's on our side now. Right, like, she literally said, like, somebody had a conversation with me about vaccines and it changed my mind. Like, I learned from somebody approaching me reasonably. And so I just think, like, so, like, I feel like that was when I really kind of started to notice that things were getting really aggressive, like, really, I don't even know if aggressive is the right word, but just really kind of harsh, I guess. And the thing is, like, I still watch some of her content. She posted stuff about, what's her name, Anissa, like, iDubbbz's girlfriend, and I watched those videos, and like, I made it through them. I enjoyed them for the most part. But, man, I just felt like I was like, is it me that, like, I'm all of a sudden reacting to the content differently, or is she being very high energy, very unnecessarily harsh in my opinion? That was really what I wanted to talk about, because I was like, nobody else, like, nobody in my personal life, that's what I talk about everything on here, nobody in my personal life knows anything about YouTube, and so that's why I started the channel, because I was like, I want to talk about stuff going on YouTube. But I am glad that it is not just me who thinks that. Me and Elizabeth were on the same page here. But that was kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about. If we want to do, let's see, we'll do a quick 8 minutes of if there are any other topics that you want to talk about. We'll do kind of like a rapid fire round. Any other thing that you want to have a quick little chat about, and then after we are done with that, I will let you guys go. So if there are anything else going on that you want an opinion on, or you want to talk about real quick, feel free to go ahead and leave it in a comment. I'll give you guys a minute to send stuff in. Dang. Going off on that made me very thirsty. Elizabeth's final thoughts, just stay home. I don't want anyone here dying of corona. Right. Stay home if you can. If you are an essential worker and you are out working, thank you. I appreciate you. You're putting yourselves at risk every day for us, like for the sake of your own money and for your own bills and your livelihood, but you're also doing it, like, we're also benefiting from you going out and going to work, so thank you. But yeah, I just want, like, a big thanks to people going out and working, but those of us who are at home, whether because we work from home, we are on, like, a limited schedule, we're staying home, even if it's because you got furloughed. If you got furloughed, I am very, very sorry. But those of us who can stay home, please stay home, unless you need to go out. I got today some like Gatorade Zero and little individual bags of chips. Excuse me, sorry. I had to go to the grocery store. And so I got little Gatorade Zeros and like the individual bags because obviously like individualized stuff, because I was like, I want to give stuff to like our mail lady, to our trash truck drivers, the recycle driver, anybody who like delivers anything, if we order anything. I want to like be able to give them something, because it's always nice to like thank people who do that for you, because that's not always a thankless job, but in a lot of cases it is. And I was like, I definitely want to like thank them. And now that I'm home, I'll be able to like hear them or like see them on the camera and be like, oh wait, come here. If you hear the trash truck coming, you know. But like anybody else, be like, hey, here you go, thank you. So if you have the capability to do that, that's probably a nice thing to do. Caitlin said, thanks for keeping me company. Hope lockdown is okay for you and your fam. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We are doing just fine over here. Like, my mantra is can't complain. Like, literally can't complain. Everything is going as good as it could be considering everything. So I hope that you are staying safe, and I hope everything is good over there for you and your fam too. Avalon said, creators acting like a gift from God because making more content during the virus. That's funny. Who is acting like that? Because I know a ton of like people are making a lot more. The week that I was on like a half schedule at work, I definitely did a few more live streams, but who else, like, who's acting like gifts from God? It's funny that you mentioned that, because I've been thinking, like, I want to know what you guys are watching. Oh, dumb idiot. We're right at the end. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry you missed it, but you're in here for a few minutes, so got a few minutes. But yeah, like, what are you guys watching on YouTube? Because I feel like every time I get on here, like, to actually watch stuff, there is nothing that I like. I don't know what it is. If it's just nobody's putting out, like, what I have been watching, though, is a lot of, like, Amazon hauls. And I don't know why, because I haven't bought anything from any of them. But I'm obsessed with them. And, like, I keep watching them. And so that keeps getting recommended to me. And I will watch those. But other than that, like, the only other people I'm watching right now are Naja from The Voodoo Child. Like, I watch her tribe teas all the time. And that's like it. Who have I been watching? Oh, like Zachary Michael on Program Situation. I've been watching a lot of reaction videos. There was what's her name? She's from, she has an accent. I don't know where it's from. Ooh, dumb idiot said, I've been watching a lot of video essays and analyses of TV shows and YouTube behavior because it's really long form. Yeah, I love long form. Like, I like to have things on, like, in the background. I don't necessarily, like, sit and watch a YouTube video, so I like to have, like, long stuff that I don't have to, like, switch out over and over again. Oh, Avalon said, but I've seen more than one YouTuber say they're going to make more content because of... No, they want to keep us company. Don't call me out like that. Elizabeth said, I'm a nerd. I watch doctors, lawyers, financial stuff, video essays. That's cool. I like watching Dr. Todd Grande. We reacted to one of his videos on a live. And then, his name is like The Legal Eagle. And he like does like analyses of different like legal situations and like TV shows and stuff, like in like pop culture. But who was it that I was watching? So yeah, like a lot of reaction channels. Voodoo Child. Oh, I've been watching like a lot of Savannah Marie and Emily Leah. They're both anti-MLM channels. But yeah, that's about it. There's just not a ton of stuff. Yes, legal. There's not a ton of stuff that I've been like into. But Courtney said, what's your opinion on glitter pens? Love them. Unnecessary writing tool or perfect way to fill out legal documents? Not good for legal documents because they will definitely get rejected, but I love glitter pens. So, necessary. Absolutely. Okay, Carolina said, I really like Sierra Schultze if you like clothing and lifestyle stuff, but she's really kind, funny, and very realistic in her reviews, super entertaining. Okay, here's the thing, this is so petty, I know, so I'm saying I am fully 1000% aware that it is petty. I used to watch Sierra Schultze all the time. I loved her content. I loved the collabs that she did with Carrie Dayton. I loved the collabs that she did with Lisa Schwartz. I watched her all the time. But she did a video where she talked about how her friend had been wanting a Gucci belt, and so she'd been wanting it, talking about it, all this stuff, and then one day she showed up with a Gucci belt. And Sierra was like, oh my God, you got the Gucci belt. And she goes, oh no, I got it from Amazon. It's a knockoff. And Sierra said, she was like, I think that's wrong. I don't think it's okay that people are making knockoff designer stuff. And she got a bunch of designer stuff to see what kind of quality it was. And I'm like, you just called your friend out. And ever since then, like I said, I know it is so petty, but I was like, you really just put your friend on blast like that and then made a whole video about it. And I have not watched her since. I know it's so petty. I watched some of the content surrounding her at BeautyCon. I watched some of the content surrounding that, but other than that, I have not watched her since then. I don't I was like, dang, you really did that to your friend, and I haven't really wanted to watch her since then. Okay, Philip DeFranco, Dr. Mike, Mama Dr. Jones, drama channels. Oh, okay, you guys I haven't watched any Emma Chamberlain. I know that might be crazy, but I've not watched any of her content, ever. Hello Leash. Yvonne's talking about Hello Leash too. I've watched a few of her videos. She seems really cool. Elizabeth said, also stationery stuff. I love having an unnecessary amount of pens. Bro, I love pens so much. I love pens and notebooks and paper, sticky notes. I'm game. Carolina said, OMG, honestly, I understand. Like I said, I don't know what it was about it, but ever since I watched that video, I was like, nah, I'm good. Carolina just said, I've not seen that video. I don't blame you for feeling some type of way. Like I said, she seems like such a nice person. She seems super kind. I used to really, really enjoy her content, but I just saw that, and for some reason, it triggered something in me where I was like, you really made a whole video about how you think your friend did something unethical and you're calling her out about it. You probably made thousands of dollars on it. Oh my God. Avalon said, Gloom, Amandab, Jessica, Kel Green, Frozen. I have not heard of any of these people. Luke Alexander, I've heard of. Mr. Atheist, I watched Mr. Atheist. I watched some Chris Clemens stuff. So you watched that on True Crime. Dumb Idiot said, how do you feel about Mr. Atheist? I like him. I don't watch every single video that he posts, but I watch, a decent amount. I don't know. I'm trying to think what creators that I watch every single video they put out. I don't think there are any. But I like Mr. Atheist. I think he has really good points about certain things. I'm glad that you all like glitter pens. Carolina said it does seem wrong, and then to buy all the designer stuff and not get your friend the actual Gucci belt. Right? I still love her, but I totally understand. Right, like I said, I'm sure, she seems super nice. But I'm like, that rubbed me the wrong way, man. It just flipped something in me. Ellen said, I really think you would like Amandab. She's a black woman commentary channel. Eee. Love commentary channels. I just like hearing people's opinions on stuff. So I'll look her up. Brianna said, oh, I've been watching God is Grey. I love God is Grey. Somebody asked me the other day on my Paul and Morgan video, they were like, essentially, are you God is Grey? And I was like, no. Like, I was like, I mean, I agree with her on a lot of stuff, but no. Like, she's her own person. I'm my own person. But I do like her a lot. I love the friendship between God is Grey and Mr. Atheist. Because, like, I'm like, aw. He went hard when Girl Defined brought her up at the conference and, like, basically called her out. He went hard defending her. And I was like, that's so sweet. Like, I love that friendship. I think it's so cute. Oh, I watched, okay, this is the last thing I'll say, because I said I was going to end it 5 minutes ago. The most recent God is Grey video about that pastor who's literally like, oh my god, talking about how women are like the inferior gender and how like they need to be quiet. Don't fight with a man, ladies. I'm like, bro, if I saw this dude in public, I'd be like, what's up, man? Like, that video is wild. If you really want to see, like, misogyny in action, go watch God is Grey's most recent video. And it's funny, at the end, she was like, please don't send him any hate. Don't, like, try and aggravate him or irritate him by tweeting things. Like, this is just to, like, call this out. And I'm like, I'm glad she said something, because I literally would have tweeted him and been like, hey, want to fight? I make my own decisions. Hey, my husband sees me as an equal. Want to fight? Ugh, Evelyn said, I love friendship. Yeah, I love their friendship. It's so sweet. And now there's Jacqueline Glenn in it, and so they're all friends. They're all little buds. Brianna said, oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, it was her most recent video. I don't remember his name. I'll look it up real quick. Real quick. Last thing. But man, like, that video made me so mad, honestly. Let's see. Someone commented, I'm sorry, I'm like reading her tweets. Somebody like posted a tweet and she retweeted it that said, I was such a good Christian, I side hugged dating goodbye. That's funny. Okay, oh, Dale Partridge. His name is Dale Partridge. And he's like a pastor. He doesn't really have any credentials, which, again, like, I mean, not again, but in general, like, you don't have to have credentials to be like a leader in a spiritual space. But he's like known for plagiarizing other people. He even plagiarized Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Like, thought he could just like take the work and claim it as his own. And he's like intellectual property doesn't exist. Everything comes from the same like source. And I'm like, bro, can't just plagiarize people. But yeah, if you want to get mad about misogyny, go watch God is Grey's last video about Dale Partridge. But okay, other than that, that is all I had to say for now. That's all I wanted to cover. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Carolina said Dale just sucks. Well, I have love for everyone. It's like Bailey Sarian says. She's like, God says to love everybody, but boy, do they make it hard. And I'm like, that's how I feel about Dale. Boy, does he make it hard. But I have nothing nice to say. I hope the Lord speaks to him and says, men are not the superior gender. Everyone is equal. Equal. Like that would be great if God could just like whisper it in his ear. But anyway, okay, Georgia, I'm so sorry you're coming at the end. It's going to be up. Since it is a stream, it'll take a bit to process, but it'll be re-uploaded soon. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy and being treated very well. If you have to go out for work, if you're an essential employee, I hope you are getting a million thanks and free bottles of hand sanitizer from your employer because you deserve it. Those of you hanging out at home, doing your part, staying in where you can, thank you. I know it sounds so easy, just like, oh, just stay home. But it does get kind of hard after a while. I literally went to the car wash yesterday because I was like, I need to get out of the house. And it was a thrill. So, yeah. JJ said, oh God, I've never been this late to anything. Sorry. But all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I hope you have a great Friday, a great rest of your weekend. I will talk to you all later. Thank you again so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.